It's me, Candace. Thank you for joining me for another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews Jazz Hands. This one's better than this one. I don't know. I don't have much dexterity with this one. This is my dominant hand. What the fuck? Anyways, hi, it's me, Candace. Welcome back to another review. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing Plabam! This book. This is King by S.J. Tilley. This is book 2 in the Alliance series. If this book and all the books in the series are currently free to read with KU. If you want to purchase this book for your Kindle, you can get it for the price of $4.99. If you want this book in paperback form, you can currently get it for $15.99 on Amazon. If you want the hardcover, you can also get it on Amazon for $25.99. This book, the paperback version, has 422 pages. That's a chunky boy. We love us a chunky boy. So let's get into it. I am not gonna read the blurb for this one. Why? Because my husband was using the computer. I couldn't print out a copy of the blurb on my paper that I normally do. And I'm currently using my phone to record this, so I can't read the blurb from there. I don't own the book yet, so I can't just read it from the back, okay? You have, Google is free. Go to Amazon, look up the blurb, okay? I'm gonna tell you what the book is about. So do you even need the blurb? You don't even need the blurb, it's fine. This book is also available in audio. I did the audio. The audio is narrated by Chloe Ryan and Jack Callahan. Jack Callahan. All of the books in the series are narrated by that duo. Plus and negative. Plus, I enjoyed both of their voices. The girl didn't get on my nerves. The guy's voice, hot. Negative. When an author has the same narrators do every book in a series, they have a tendency to bleed together. For me, because I intake all of my reading via audio, I feel like I have less of a chance of getting I get less immersed and emotionally invested in the book as I would if I was reading it with my eyeballs. And so when you have the same couple or the same two narrators narrating every single book in the series, immediately I hear that voice and I associate it with this character, even though now she's playing this character. Does that make sense? I think it does. I think you understand what I'm saying. So that's the downside to that. But they both have very good voices. I much enjoyed them. And yes, so anyway. Now, why did I write the clicking? I have a reading journal. I write down every nuance, every detail of the book as I listen, so I don't forget anything. Do I still forget stuff? Absolutely. Do I write down the dumbest shit? Absolutely. But I have columns for what I liked about the book and what I disliked about the book. And normally in those two columns, I would just put my little nitpicks or what stood out to me, what was something that I really liked that I don't want to forget. That's what normally goes in those columns. And in the dislike column, I wrote the clicking. What was I even talking about? I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me. We'll revisit, okay? Now, the two main characters for this book are King and Savannah. One thing I've noticed about this entire series, every female main character in these books is plus size. Do I love that for plus size representation as a bigger human being? Yes, I do. Did it lend to all of these female main characters bleed together a little bit? Yes, it did. For me. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it did a little bit. Now, I'm gonna give you my overview, okay? I'm not gonna read word for word from my reading journal because you don't want that. It's literally every detail of the book. It's gonna give away the entire plot, which I'm probably gonna spoil for you anyway, but I'll spoil it in generic terms versus every minute detail of what I wrote down, okay? Now, every single book in this series is a proper age gap, and I'm talking 10, 15, 20 plus years between the two main characters. I didn't write down how old Savannah is, but I believe she's in her like early to mid 20s. King is 45. 45. And normally that would skeeve me out. I don't know why. I'm 40. But I think mentally, I've been reading romance novels since I was 16. And I think mentally, I still think the prime age for a main male character is 25 to 35. I think I mentioned this in my last video. That's like the sweet spot for me, for a main male character, 25 to 35. If you're dealing with a super age gap, then 35 to 40 is still okay. But in my brain, I don't think of myself as 40. Physically, I'm 97. I'm dying inside. Mentally, in a lot of areas, I'm 15. But when it comes to reading romance, I feel like I'm still looking at 33-year-old man and going, oof, that's old. It's not though. I'm 40. Why do we do that? And yes, I am attributing this same quirk to you. You may not suffer with this. I do. And I'm sure a lot of other people out there do, which is why now you do. Why do we do that? If you're an avid romance reader, you have read umpteen hundreds of books, right? That's not a number. I just made that up. Let's go with it. You've read umpteen hundreds of books. And over time, your tastes have matured. You in age have matured. But you still think in the way that you did when you started reading. And so mentally, I'm still thinking that I'm 16, 17, 18 years old, and 33 is old for a man. What's wrong with me? Anyway, so King's 45, okay? Once you get into the book, that age kind of becomes like it falls to the wayside because it's very rarely mentioned, his age. If it is mentioned, it's done in like a joking way, like you old man, right? But he doesn't act old. He doesn't appear old. He, for all intents and purposes, aside from the fact that it is an age gap and it's meant for him to be significantly older than Savannah, you forget he's 45. Which I personally appreciated because, again, I don't want to... 45, and then you go into like 50 men who are 50 plus, and I immediately think, I don't want to read geriatric porn. That's not geriatric, but that's the way my brain thinks, and I don't know why that is. Anyway, so, like I said, Savannah is a plus-size character. She's a painter. She's a very good painter. And in the beginning of this book, you will have met King if you read book 1. He shows up in book 1 a good deal. He is the second member of the Alliance, which is a crime syndicate based out of the Twin Cities. The other member of the Alliance, Nero, is the main male character for book 1. at the end of book 1, he came out of the shadows, King, came out of the shadows as being affiliated with the Alliance. Prior to that, he was just like a money man, good at business, real estate, blah, 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 right? Behind the scenes, he used to be a gangster. He's still a gangster. But he was low-key. He was a low-key gangster, right? In this book, he's full out, like no longer in the shadows. People know he's part of the Alliance. The biggest thing about the Alliance is that even though she doesn't go into great detail about what it is they actually do as a crime syndicate, like gun running, drugs, etc., she doesn't go into great detail about that. What she does go into detail about is the fact that they're very anti-human trafficking. And since book 1, there have been people in their territories, which is kind of, you know how every book in a series, if they're character standalone books, every book is about a different couple. But in the background of that couple's story is like an overarching plot that's of something happening. This is that plot. There is something happening with drug trafficking. I mean, not drug, human trafficking. And they don't know who's doing it. They don't know who's behind the curtain. All they know is they've been having to break up these little powwows of shipments of girls being brought in, money changing hands, bad guys in their territory, right? That continues throughout this book. Okay? Now, King has 2 sisters. Aspen, who is a ball-busting, I got very man-hating vibes, even though I don't think that that's the way she was meant to be portrayed. She was meant to just be portrayed as like a woman scorned and like very hardened by life. And then he has a half-sister, Val. Val is the product of their father's affair and the outcast of the family. Their mother, Aspen, and King's mother has recently passed away, or like before the book, right? So the book opens from Savannah's POV. This book is dual POV, by the way. Technically, it's like third POV? No, hold please. Don't go anywhere. Hold on. Okay, no, the second book has no third POV. Good. That's the third book. We're going to skip over that. Forget what I said. So the book opens with Savannah. She is going to deliver like a lasagna to the owner of the gallery that her art is featured in, who has recently had surgery and is like on the mend. And she's like, I'm going to take you a tray of lasagna. So she is going over there, and this guy that she has gone on 3 dates with, Leland, she calls him Lee, kind of pushes his way, like he invites himself, right? And she's too nice to say no. So she lets him pick her up, or she goes to his apartment, drops off her car, and then they take his car and they go over there. And they get out. And she's in her inner monologue, like, I really don't want him to be here. We've only been on 3 dates. It started out with him being like super cool and he seemed really nice. And now he just kind of become pushy and like whatever. He's very like up his own ass. Okay. So they get to the gallery owner's house and she has forgotten that they had plans. And she already has guests there. Those guests turn out to be King and Aspen, his sister. When they walk in, she's like, no, it's fine. Come in, you know, whatever. Savannah's like, I can go. We can come back another day, you know, whatever. She's like, no, don't worry. Come in. You know, I'll introduce you to the other 2. So they come in. When they walk in, little does Savannah know that the man she's gone on 3 dates with, hasn't slept with, but has kissed, is Aspen's husband. And he's a philandering piece of shit, right? Aspen loses her shit. You know, jumps to conclusions, automatically Savannah's a whore, yada, yada, yada. King, very stoic, very, like, straight-laced. Lee insults Aspen and basically calls her like a tight ass or whatever, and leaves after King threatens him. Well, everything blows up. Savannah leaves after the fact. She has to go back to Lee's apartment to get her car. She left her keys, her car keys, in his apartment. The same keys that have like her house keys and the gallery key, all of that, right? She has to go inside and see him again. She doesn't want to, but she has to. So this is obviously his fuck pad, by the way, because she's not going back to his wife's apartment. Ignore. So she goes back and she walks up to the door in time to hear raised voices, Lee, and a voice she recognizes as King's from the limited interaction they already had. And then she hears a gunshot. She freezes. The door opens. She sees blood. She sees Lee dead on the floor. King has killed him. Obviously, he's avenging his sister's honor. What's wrong with that? It's fine. He was a piece of shit anyways. But now, she's like, oh shit, I witnessed a murder. This guy's gonna kill me. She bolts. He chases her down, and in lieu of any other valid solution, he kidnaps her. He takes her back to his house, his gated security guard booth surrounded property, right? She's his hostage. Later on, she finds out, oh, the only solution that I've come up with to keep you from talking is I'm going to force you to marry me. In his mind, the government can't compel you to testify against me if you're my wife. So you're going to be my wife. Now, here's where my brain went from, okay, this is interesting, to sir, I'm obsessed with you. There's one point where she has wandered off on the property and ended up getting stoned with like a couple of the house people who work there, and or like the staff, right? She's around a campfire. She's like, they're all talking and chit-chatting and whatever. One of them has a joint. They pass it around, right? She ends up getting stoned. She's laying in the grass, staring up at the sky. He finds her, and the first words out of his mouth are, hello, wife. I can't explain why that did anything for me, but it did. Something, and a lot of it could be attributed to the narrator of the audiobook, but something about the way he said it, I felt it in my bones. You know how in books they say, oh, she felt it in her core? I did. It grabbed me by the uterus and it just said, you're mine now. And I was like, and that's the end. The end. That's not actually the end, but that was the moment that he had me. So, yes, he forces her to marry him. And then over the course of the book, shows her that he's not a complete psychopath, that instead of everything she expects him to be, he turns out to be the opposite. So she's thinking, based off of our first interactions with each other and the fact that you did this crazy, like, overbearing move that you did by making me marry you. From that point on, she expects him to be a certain way, and he's not. He supports her art, which is something she never got from her family. He gives her everything that she wants. Literally. The man is an angel, and I adored him. And he is obsessed with her as well. Like, he didn't need much of a push to say, hey, I'm just going to take you. You're mine now. Because he already had, like, those feelings. Like, he already had, like, the insta-lust or insta-love or whatever you want to call it. Which I love, by the way. He Falls First is my kryptonite. All of these books. Kryptonite. So yes, anyway, over the course of the book, their relationship develops. He presents her to the public as his wife. And the way he sees it is, there's already people after me. They already know you exist. The best thing I can do is protect you as best I can. Does that work out in the end? No, of course it doesn't. Because you know there always has to be some drama. So at the end, something crazy does happen. And there's a moment where he thinks she's going to die. And it's very emotional. And it hurt me. And it made me love him all the more. So he's very supportive of her. He's very body positive of her. She's literally perfect. Even though there was one bit at the beginning. So when he kidnaps her and she's bolting from him at the apartment building, he has to pick her up and physically carry her to his SUV. And under his breath, he mutters the word heavy. And in her inner monologue, she's like, this motherfucker just called me fat. In the moment, it didn't make me mad. I think the way that it was done was done really well. And he eventually explained that he likes soft women, and he likes the fact that he's huge, by the way. Like, when I'm not talking about huge, like, huge. I'm talking about, like, even though he is, I'm talking about, like, huge, like, in stature. He's very tall. He's very buff. He's very muscular. He's, right? And he likes the fact that even though she's big, she's small, and she's soft, and she's squishy, and you know what I'm saying? So there's, like, a lot of body positivity in these books. Not from the main female character's perspective, because they always start out as very disparaging of their appearance, but throughout the book, the man just reinforces how beautiful they are. And I loved that. I like that a lot. So yes, anyways. So eventually it comes out that she never had sex with Lee, because that's a big point of contention for King. He can't get past the fact that his brother-in-law was essentially inside her. And it's causing, like, big time jealousy issues for him. And eventually he finds out through a third party source, his half-sister Val, that Savannah never had sex with Lee. And that just cements his "you're mine" mentality. So I appreciated that. And eventually Aspen does also find out that she didn't have sex with Lee. And they become kind of like uncomfortable friends. They're shoved together. And Aspen kind of gives her an olive branch, but in like a cold shoulder kind of way. And I was like, I don't think I would forgive you. Savannah does, eventually. But I was still at the point where I don't think I like you, ma'am. You're kind of a bitch. But obviously I'm assuming that was the way she was written. So, can you fault me? No. So, anyway, after like the third act breakup, if you will, or in this case, not a third act breakup, but a third act near-death experience, All's well that ends well. Bad guy gets his comeuppance, and they live happily ever after. And I loved that. Now, another point to mention, like I did in my last review for the first book in the series, Nero, the trend that S.J. Tilley has of writing extremely short chapters continues. I don't know how many chapters were in this book, but it is a significantly longer book than Nero's. And there are a lot of chapters. A lot. She will change POVs just to literally say one sentence. And then she'll switch back to the other person's POV. And I don't understand that. I don't know why she does that. But it's her book. She can do whatever she wants, right? Now, what I liked about the book. Like, I have 2 columns in my notes. What I liked, which are the things that jumped out at me, that stood out. And then what I disliked. Okay? What I liked. Wife. First and foremost. Wife. He calls her that throughout the entire book. Like, from the point that they get married, he calls her wife. And I was obsessed with that. Don't call me by my name. Call me wife. Something about it was just so fucking hot. I can't even explain. He also encourages her to call him husband, which I loved. What I disliked. At least once in this book, in the 3rd book, and I think it's already happened once in the 4th book. I'm on book 4 now. She has used the word titties. No. Where's my camera? No. No. Inner monologue, the man wants to say tits. Fine. I'm okay with it. Titties? No. My brain immediately goes, you might as well just call them cow udders. Just say udders. That's what I think of when you say the word titties. It's very, my brain associates it as very low class and skeevy. Is it just me? Maybe. But I can't get past it. Please stop. Please don't do it again. S.J. Tilley's not even going to watch this. It doesn't matter. But for you guys, just know there's at least one. It may only be one, but there's at least one titties in this book. And in book 3. And I just liked it both times. Okay, the clicking that I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I remember what it was. He does this thing, right? Where they'll be in the middle of an argument or something's happening and he wants her to stop talking. And he does this. In the book, she likes it. It like triggers something sexual in her. For me, it was a no. I didn't like it. It still struck me as like demeaning, and I'm not a dog. He does have a dog, by the way, so maybe that's what it is. He's just conditioned to clicking at his dog. But he clicks at her, and I didn't like it. And the last thing that I didn't like, and this is, again, these points are just me nitpicking. Take it with a grain of salt. It hit for me in a bad way. It may do absolutely nothing to you. So I'm not discouraging you from reading the book in any way. This is just my little moments, right? The last thing. In addition to him encouraging her to call him husband, he also encourages her to call him my king, which the first time that it happened, they were in the middle of having sex for the first time. And the way that the female narrator said it made it sound like she was taking possession of him. Like, you are my, because your name is King, right? You're my king. Nobody else's king, my king. He belonged to me. And I liked it. It was hot. I felt it. Then from that point on, it was said in the connotation of my king, like my liege or my master. Like, I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I just didn't. It was also very prevalent. Like, she said it a lot. She also said husband a lot. It didn't bother me the same way my king did. I don't know why. He does refer to her at I think once, maybe twice, as my queen. So I guess it was like we're equals in this life type thing. But for the most part, it was just, he was my king. And in the bedroom, you can be in charge. Outside the bedroom, no. In most instances, no. You're not above me. You're not better than me. I'm not deferring to you in decisions. We're gonna fight. We're gonna scrap. We're gonna hash it out together. We're equals in this life, in this relationship. And that was not the way it was. He was very overbearing. He was very take charge. And she was very, after the point of the marriage, she was very go with the flow. Like, she just, whatever he said, she just went with it for the most part. I didn't, my king did nothing for me. I mean, it did something for me, but not in a good way. So that was me nitpicking. That's my quirk. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would I rate this book? I would give it a solid 8. I would give it a solid 8. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. The overall plot, I really enjoyed. I really loved. And there, up to a certain point in the book, I was like, if I have to choose between King and Nero, I would choose King. Because his personality was very for me, right? And then the little quirks came in. And I was just like, okay, maybe it brought it down by a little bit, but I still really liked the book. I really enjoyed it. So 8 out of 10. Would I recommend this book to other people? Yes. Would I recommend this series to other people? Absolutely. When I get to book 3's review, which I've already read, it's my favorite so far. And Dom is that man. So out of bounds. And yet, everything he does is forgiven. Sir. Anyway, so yes, 8 out of 10. I would recommend this book to other people. I would recommend the series to other people, and you should read it. Start with Nero. If you're interested to know what his book is about, if you have not read the series, go back to my last video and you can see what Nero's book is about. But start with his book. Do not read them out of order. You will hurt me internally if you do that. So please don't do that. Okay? Book 1 is Nero. Book 2 is King. Read them in order, but read them. They're very good. I am thoroughly enjoying this series. Okay? I think that's it. Yeah, that's a general overview of what's going on. Okay? If you enjoyed this video, if you like me and you like my channel and you want to see more reviews like this, unhinged, completely chaotic, and giving you a little bit of information about a book, subscribe. If you would like, you can follow me on social media. I'm very active on Instagram. I will link all my social medias below in the description. And if I feel like it, I'll put a little banner here on the screen for you guys to see. If it hasn't shown up by now, I didn't feel like it. So there you go. I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another review. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I will continue on my train of reading, getting back into reading, and more reviews will be forthcoming because I have a lot in the pipeline. Like literally 5 more reviews that I need to record for other books that I've read. So, will I be back? Yes. Don't go missing me too much now. You hear? Okay. Thank you so much for joining me again. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye. All by myself, no one be all by myself anymore. Hi. I don't want to be by myself anymore. That's why you're here. Hi. Hello, it's me, Candace. Let's get into it, shall we? I'm wearing the same shirt as before. Why? Is it because I've been wearing this for a week? No. It's because I'm reviewing multiple reviews in the same day. Why? Because I don't want to have to put on makeup again. So I'm going to bust it out. Sorry for the shakeage. Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Hi. I hear my child. She's 8 now, by the way. I feel like I haven't... You guys, if you've been following me for a long time, have essentially watched my kid grow up with me, because how many times has she busted in on one of my reviews and ended up in a blooper reel? Many. And she's gone from being a cute, waddly little 2-year-old to being now 8 and a menace to society. Girl children. Anyway, and what was I saying? Fuck's sake, I lost my flow. What was I saying? King. Anyway. What possessed me to dye my hair brown? I don't know, because I feel like it washes me out, but that could just be my opinion. I don't know. Anyway, I got nothing else. I'm done. I'm tapped out. I love you. It's been 40 minutes. I'll see you in my next video. Will there be a lot of bloopers? Probably not. I feel like I did okay on this one. Don't get used to it. I love you. I'll see you later. Clickety click, click, click. Click. Nope. Click. No.